Hello, and welcome to Gamers of All, Master of None. From the last Pokemon Nuzlocke video, I started a new hardcore Nuzlocke challenge on Pokemon Heart Gold. That was 6 months ago. And given that this was supposed to be a single video, but now it's turned into a series, you kind of know how this went. But excuse my poor gameplay and click subscribe so that you can stay up to date with my very slow Pokemon adventures. So as with all Pokemon games, we start out choosing our starter. And we started with Gold Cyndaquil because mostly fire types are quite rare to get. After running the errand for one tree professor and receiving a Pokédex from another tree professor, we beat our careless rival with ease, giving him the name Little Gio, which is short for Little Giovanni, because canonically he is the son of Giovanni. Anyway, after getting our first Pokeballs, our Nuzlocke has officially started. We caught Silver the Hoothoot on Route 29, and I was going to go into the Dark Cave, but luckily I first checked my bag, because I don't actually have any Pokeballs left. So a quick trip into a Pokemart resulted me in all the Geodude in the Dark Cave, as well as Mercury the Wooper from Route 32. We also have Uranium the Ghastly from Sprout Tower, which you can get when you visit it at night. With Cyndaquil, most of the trainers in Sprout Towers are very trivial, but there was a really close moment during the fight against Elder Lee. As I switched Silver out and back in because Gold was hypnotized, his Hoothoot brought Silver down to 1 HP with a critical hit peck. Luckily, Gold survived a peck and managed to finish the fight, waking up after the switch-in. After some leveling up to the level cap of 13, as dictated by the hardcore Nuzlocke rules, we are not allowed to level past the gym leader's ace, we take on Falconer, the first gym leader. It would have been easier if we have gotten Mareep instead of Wooper on Route 32, but they're both low percentage encounter Pokemon, so I really can't complain here. I mean to lead with all the Geodude, but forgot to actually switch my team, so Uranium it is. Hypnotite misses with its 55% accuracy is as expected, and after a few turns of getting hit by Sand Attack, we just have to take the hard switch and just Rock Throw to get our first badge. After we are forced to take an egg and being talked to by a girl, we head towards a sailor town. On the way we picked up Iron the Sandshrew in Union Cave, a Hobbit that I forgot to nickname, evolved Gold into a Quilava, took out Proton with ease with Ore, I also seem to have picked up a Zubat named Catium from somewhere, but I'm not sure where it was from the footage, because I can't find it for some reason. Anyway, the gym fight with Bugsy was relatively easy, sending out Silver first to hypnotize Cypher so a safe switch into Gold, and also to limit the use of U-turn. And Ember brought Cypher down with us at half HP. Metapod and Kakuna poses no threat, although it could have been a different story if Bugsy actually evolved them into Beedrill and Butterfree. I wonder why he didn't. After that came our first proper rifle fight, and could have been ugly because we still don't have a counter for Croconaw yet. Hoppit is a useless Pokemon that doesn't know any grass type moves at this level cap. Luckily, Croconaw insists on using Scary Face for a couple of turns, so Catium withdrew it down to red, and 2 Uproars from Silver managed to finish it off, even though a critical would have been nasty there. A switch into Gold after Uproar ended got us confused, but luckily we managed to finish off. After more looser strong talk, we picked up a Caterpie named Tin in the Ilex Forest, chased a couple of birds around, found another girl who talked to us, picked up Led the creepy Drowsy, and managed to get into Goldenrod City, the center of Johto, and a lot of pain for a lot of Nuzlockers. We could have gotten a Dratini here as our encounter, but without leveling up to evolve into Dragon Air or even Dragonite, I feel it was a bit pointless, so I left it for now. Just outside the radio station, the egg hatched into Calcium, the Togepi, and we headed in to fight Whitney, the terrifying third gym leader. With a fast, tanky, and heavy hitting Miltank, she is a run ender for sure, and she nearly did ended my run. We started off with all trying to stack up as many defense curves as we can. We do manage to stack up to +6 on defense, but we also down -2 on attack as well thanks to a Maximum Charm. 3 Magnitudes take out Clefairy, but it does minimal damage to Miltank until a critical hit brought it down to yellow, at which point Whitney heals. A couple of Storm Flinches brings us down all the way to 1 HP, but at least we did manage to pull off a self-destruct, putting it down to the red and very nearly ending the fight. Now if you're wondering why I didn't switch out earlier, or in fact just switch out and not use self-destruct at all, it is because this was actually a rematch. I had passed Whitney a couple days ago using the same team, and everyone died other than Gold. I was going to accept that fate as I have carried on a couple hours later, but I didn't manage to save due to an error. So instead of restarting the entire run, I'm just going to accept whatever butterfly effect this alternate universe brings, while trying to do a little bit better. Another Super Potion goes to Miltank, and then Gold got attracted. We only managed to get a bit of damage in before we risked a critical stomp, so out comes Mercury to try for an Aqua Extract, with 2 much shots successfully lowering the accuracy before he got stomped to death. And then Silver comes in with an Uproar to finish the fight. Really, this fight shows how important game knowledge and information is when you're doing a Nuzlocke. I know some people have chosen to box all of the Pokemons other than Gold, as he was the sole survivor at this point, but as I said, this is a new AU, so we're just gonna go with that. And if I didn't show you the clip, you wouldn't even know it happened. But we do need to fill out our slots from the loss, so tin the now Beautifly and let the Drowsy comes in, and we also have Thallium the Nidoran joining in as our Route 35 encounter. That's another thing I could have done before the Whitney fight, but I didn't do that because I was going with the same team. To get to Route 36, we need to double back to Goldenrod City because the tree was in the way and I forgot the Squirt Bottle. We got into a little bit of a close call, not managing to avoid an optional trainer. We got Gallium the Standard on Route 37, steal the Machamp in Mount Mortar, but accidentally killed our Rattata encounter in the Burnt Tower. Our third encounter with Lil Geo, and he seems to have a thing for the Curse and Mean Look strat, so a couple of switches and Gold took care of his Ghastly Flame Wheel. We still don't have an answer to Croconaw because we don't have an electric type Pokemon yet, which is annoying, but a Poison Sting from Thallium and a couple switches to store later, Golds come in with a quick attack to finish the Diaper Crocodile. His next Pokemon is Zubat, which should be an easy 2-hit with Flame Wheel, but we got confused and only managed to land 1 hit before we taken down less than half, so it had to come in. We got hit to less than half on the switch in, but luckily we go first on the next turn and Confusion gets the kill. Again, we don't have a good answer to Magnemite because Ore died, but Thallium does have Double Kick, which deals super effective damage against Steel types, if we didn't get crit. Luckily with Gold coming in with outspeeding Flame Wheel and get the kill. But we do have our first casualty against our rival. But now we know what his full team is going to look like, and we can start planning to have a well-rounded team by getting our new encounter on Route 38, Cobalt the Rattata, which killed Lead because he couldn't fall asleep. We evolved Cadmium into Crobat before the fight with Morty for some more firepower, and we led the fight with Tin. We one-shot Ghastly with Psybeam, but fell asleep to Gengar's Hypnosis, and Shadow Ball did huge amounts of damage. For some reason, I decided to switch into Cadmium here and got one-shot by a Shadow Ball. What I should have done was go into Cobalt, as he doesn't take any damage from ghost type moves. But he would have fallen asleep. But anyway. We got locked into Mean Look, and I'm scared that he's going to use Curse. But it seems like he doesn't have that move. Once we woke up, a scary face lowered Gengar's speed, which means we can just keep spamming Crunch to finish him and the 2 Haunters that come after. I need to stop panicking and actually use my brain when encountering difficult situations in Nuzlocke. Well, forced gym badge, we can go ahead and get some more encounters. Aluminium, the Pidgey, back at the National Park, Nickel the Magnemite from Route 39, and managed to climb up the lighthouse through the barrage of trainers to find Jasmine, and know that we have to go across the sea to get some medicine for the Polyanthrus. The problem is we don't have a water type to learn Surf anymore because Mercury died. So unless we grab another water type, our run is going to be over. Luckily, a bit of googling tells me we can obtain the good rod in Olivine City to fish up Potassium the Krabby, so that we can continue our challenge. After a couple of balls, we also got Casium the Tentacruel on Route 41. A few moments later, we successfully reached Camwood City to get to the pharmacy and obtained the secret potion. Before we head back to Jasmine though, we're going to explore Camwood City a little bit, which gains us a Shuckle from this guy who got scared by Lil Geo. I was wandering through the city and the different buildings when I headed up north and found a Suicune, and hoped that I could have an encounter with it, without seeing what Pokemon I actually have in my party, or whether I have any Pokeballs for that matter. But instead, that triggered a fight with Eulsign? How do you pronounce that name? Eusine. Let's see how that went on with our party that we have that's totally underleveled and not the right moveset. Anyway, I had Nico at the start of the party, but that wasn't going to do anything, so I tried to switch into Potassium. He got put to sleep, so I suspected a move that deals damage during sleep, so I switched back into Nickel, and was correct. We traded hits here and there, and a Spark managed to paralyze Drowsy, but we can't finish him in the next move, and we got hypnotized again. I switched out to Shuckle to try and avoid Dream Eater, but he just used Disable. Shuckle don't really have any damaging moves here, but we do lock him into Encore. Luckily we are faster, otherwise we might have locked him into something else. At this point I probably should have switched out to Potassium or Nickel to try and awaken them, but instead I tried a Constrict to see that it does no damage, and then put up a safeguard to protect the team from further status moves. I switched in Potassium to try and wake him up just as Encore ended, and luckily the first turn Drowsy was paralyzed. But on the second turn we weren't so lucky and we just survived on a Sliver. I switched back into Shuckle to set up Safeguard this time, just in time to fend off his Hypnosis. For some reason I didn't set up Encore this time, but just switched back into Nickel in hopes that he wakes up. Luckily he does without taking any damage and finally landed a Spark. We got disabled, but we finished with a Thundershock. That was one tough cookie. Our Safeguard faded and now we're up against Electrode. I really don't have any good answer to this, and to make matters worse, he has to move Thunder with a power of 120. I switch into Steel, so hopefully he can do something, but we're already down to yellow on the switch in with Thunder plus the paralysis, meaning that we just have to sack it for a safe switch for the next one. I don't really have any good options here, so I just send out Tin in hopes of getting a status, relying on the fact that Thunder has a lower accuracy. Unluckily he didn't miss, and Tin, Nickel and Potassium all go down. We're only left with Shucky now, and as the last desperate attempt I use Bide, which does manage to take it down after just using Switch for 2 turns. But it was a little bit too little too late, as we only barely survived the 2 Thunders, and we're left with 3 HP to try and deal with this last Pokemon, a Haunter, which dispatched us with a Lake. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my first attempt at a hardcore Nuzlocke in Pokemon Heart Gold, and the reason for failure really is game knowledge. Sure, there were some misplays, but we could have entirely avoided that Eusine fight, and there were some things we could have done differently. But so far that's it for this video. But I'll see you guys in the next video on attempt 2, while I pirate my sadness. Bye!